You're about to learn from a founder that broke $10 million of revenue here in 2025. His name is Mark Walker, and he's the CEO and founder at NUE.io, a revenue lifecycle management platform. In the next 15 minutes, he's going to teach you 3 specific things that will give you a massive unfair advantage. Number 1, how he used consultants as his Salesforce to hit $10 million of revenue. Number 2, how he got his first 20 customers, including the sales process he used to close OpenAI, a mega contract. And lastly, number 3, the genius way he expanded his average customer value from just $20,000 per year in 2023 to $80,000 in 2024 to now well over $200,000 and $300,000. When you watch into the end of this episode, you will have an unfair advantage in terms of how to go to market in the new age of AI. Let's jump in and learn from Mark Walker of New. This is one of our pet peeves at FounderPath. You know, we've deployed about $200 million to 500 software companies, and the hardest part about deploying the money is always, wait, you're telling me you're still on cash? You're a SaaS company. You need to move to accrual. Or how are you doing RevRec? Or how are you doing forecasting? So tell us what New is selling today and who some of your customers are.
Great. So the fun thing about New is even though we're only like Series A company, we have these amazing multi-billion-dollar companies using us and little tiny startups also using us. And the whole idea behind New was it was created by a bunch of people who'd worked at Zora, worked at Salesforce, and basically understood that trying to grow really fast while trying to connect multiple systems together to do this is really complicated. So what we did is we said, okay, well, let's make a single system that can be your quoting system, your self-service system, your billing system. And then it turns out if you do that and you make each of those pieces really, really good, you're actually able to not only sell the entire thing, but you're able to sell parts of it. So about 40% of our customers just buy CPQ, but 60% of our customers replace their entire infrastructure or start their infrastructure with New.
Interesting. Just to focus our conversation today, can you give me a sort of sweet spot in terms of what the average customer might pay you per month or per year to use your technology?
They can be as little as $20,000 a year. But the more normal one is like $50,000 to $60,000 a year, which is, definitely less than a human being. And
Yep.
at the upper end, it can be, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars.
Okay. Obviously, one of the things I love doing when I'm reading S1s or at 10Qs is to look at which publicly traded SaaS companies are divulging how many $1 million plus customers they have. Have you hit your first $1 million per year contract yet or still working on it?
Not yet. Yeah, we're getting very close, but
That's
we
awesome.
actually I think we have our first customer who will be a $1 million customer, but they're not
Oh,
$1 million
great.
for us with this yet. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so just to summarize again, you've got smaller customers in the $20,000 to $50,000 a year range, and then you also have a nice land and expand model selling additional modules, et cetera, and you have customers approaching that $1 million contract value. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's great. One of the things you guys are seeing here on my screen that folks always ask me, especially when they're getting going, is, Nathan, we don't know whether to go enterprise, right, and top down, sell directly to the CRO, or go bottoms up, right, sell to the accountants first, and eventually we find our way to the CRO. You don't make your pricing public on the website. Yeah, from what I can tell, usually that's a sign that you're going top down, not sort of no touch bottoms up. Is that accurate? And if so, why'd you make that decision?
Yeah, I think there's 2 reasons driving it. One is we have such completely different these 2 ICPs that are very, very different. So OpenAI is a customer, and so are $10 million, $20 million startups. The pricing model that makes sense for OpenAI doesn't make sense if you're a little tiny company. And so one of the things we do at New is we price things in a way that's really tied to the value for the customer. So say you're a startup,
Mm-hmm.
you can buy everything we do, everything OpenAI has access to for like 20 grand, right? And then, but if you're OpenAI, you don't actually want the level of self-service capability that they enjoy. You want, the high touch relationship that we have with them, and it's a different price point. So that's why we don't do it, because it'd just be confusing. They're the same product, exactly the same product, but they are
Yep.
priced in different ways to meet different people's needs.
When your sales reps tell you, Mark, I love how you've structured our pricing because it allows me to drive expansion revenue, do they celebrate things like you've enabled seat-based upselling, or is it more about selling price builder and then usage accelerator and then everything billing? In other words, it's product-based upselling, or is there usage-based upselling you're doing? What are sort of the axes that are giving your sales reps the most leverage to upsell?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we do is we recognize that people have different value of our product. So we will go into them and have a conversation that's something like this, like how do you price your product? And we sort of say to them, how would you like to buy it? And they'll sort of go, what? We'll go, well, we have customers that have low volume, high value invoices that go out through the system. They're quoting enterprise, and they don't want to pay a percentage of revenue. They want to pay certain dollars per seat, certain dollars per invoice, right? Then we have customers who are of no reps. It's just system to system, and they don't want to pay. There's no seats. They're just paying percentage of revenue, and we let people buy in different ways. So some customers choose their own adventures. Some people are on a low commit to usage type model or a percentage of revenue model. Some people are on a seat based model.
Okay, I love that. Let's pivot away from sort of pricing strategy. And those of you tuning in, we want to go back and get the launch story of the business, when Mark joined, why Mark joined, the growth channels they use to add customers, and how they're growing in the future. Mark, before we go and get to sort of all the backstory here in terms of why this product's important, how you get those customers, can you give us, I don't want to bury the lead here, how many customers, you've mentioned some great logos already, but how many total customers are using the platform today?
Yeah, we're just coming up on 100, right?
Oh,
So
that's
about
great.
100.
Okay, cool. Tell me when the company launched, when was the first line of code written, and when you joined?
Yeah, the founding story is super interesting. So, the company was originally founded by Tina Kung, who's still our CTO and founder. She's ex Zora, ex Oracle, ex Salesforce. Not your typical founder. Like she's a very, very, very experienced first time founder, right? But she was backed up by Cheng Zhu, who was the original CTO of Zora, and they were funded by Next World Capital and a few other people to just explore an idea. They were then backed up by some other investors, and one of those investors came to me and said, "Hey, Mark, you just sold a company to TA. Do you want to come over and run another company?" I went, "No, I want to go kiteboarding. I want to go and do some fun stuff for a while." And then I met Tina, who's just amazing, and I was like, "Okay, well, I will come and help you." And then basically they asked me to take the dog home for the evening, and the rest is history, right? So, um, company's super exciting, really clear vision about how to go to market in a marketplace where there already are, like everything that we sell, everybody worth getting already has one, right? It's and more than
Yep.
one, and they're owned by different people. So I think it was a really fascinating problem to attack, a really fascinating go-to-market problem, and I was excited to work with an incredibly smart person to go do that.
I love that. Okay, so that's a great story. And then help us understand, this is not a bootstrap story. It doesn't sound like. How much total has the company raised life to date?
Yeah, we raised 15 million seed, right? So
Okay.
we got a $6 million initial bid. The next thing I did is showed up and said, that's not enough. That's not enough to do what we need to do. We got very supportive investors, managed to raise another nine fairly quickly.
Okay.
And now it's about 40 million bucks into the company. So
Okay.
it's definitely not a. My last company was bootstrapped, small target market. This is like $1 billion, immediately addressable ARR in the wind marketplace. It's pretty
hmm
fascinating. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So just to repeat that back to you, early backing 2022 timeframe, and before that was something like a 6 million seed plus a 9 million extension. So call it a 15 million seed plus seed plus. And then I think you did the Series A with Inovia leading for 20 million, I believe, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's
They're great.
35.
Innovia's great. Yeah.
Was that the last round, or was there more money after that?
Nope. That takes us to 20. There's a little
Okay.
bit of other dollars drifting around in there somewhere, but yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us more. I mean, since I'm going to share your LinkedIn while I ask you this question too, because I always love a founder that I get on that has done both things, right? You've done the growth at all costs VC model. You've also done the bootstrap model. Which one here in your background here was the bootstrap model?
Strong Point.
Oh,
Strong Point was
strong
the
point.
bootstrap model. Um, Skytech was different, completely different. We
hmm
made a lot of money, but it was more of a services play. But StrongPoint
hmm
was very, very focused on automated compliance for publicly traded companies running NetSuite or Salesforce. And
hmm
really, in that explosion of IPOs between about um, 2015 and the pandemic, we made bank, right? And so it was a great, great business to be in. Really, really innovative product, and it was so much fun to be able to drive around and go, they're a customer, they're a customer, they're a customer, they're a customer as a bootstrap company. Super fun.
That is fun. Okay, teach us more. Other founders that are trying to get their first million or their next million, next 3 million, next 4 million of revenue. Everyone has a different go-to-market motion, slightly tweaked a little bit. When you joined in 2022, what was the go-to-market motion, and what are you guys leveraging today to get your next 10, 20, 30 customers?
Yeah, so when I joined, we were like zero revenue, like zero, right?
In
So
2022, no revenue.
no revenue, right? So
Okay.
science project, right? And like brilliant science project, but it was time to go get some revenue. And I think one of the things I would encourage people to do is recognize that in your first year, if you're getting your first million, go buy the customer. Buy it with pricing, buy it with service, buy it with commitment, buy it with partnership. Do everything possible. Don't worry about maximizing the return. What your God bless the first 20 companies that buy an enterprise software product. It's like, and they're doing you a favor, and you just basically treat them like that. And accept that, frankly, you're going to get a fair amount of churn in that first customer base because you'll be buying people who maybe aren't making the most thought out decisions. And also, you will also be maybe picking up some companies that are maybe more marginal than you will pick up later. So you got to just deal. Um, then after that, you need to become professional really fast, right? So
Mm-hmm.
but the first part was, um, you know, customers ranging from, 3, 5, 10,000, 50,000 at the top end. Um,
Per year.
but out of those experiences, the product gets better and better, and that's what we did.
Mm. So just to be clear, those first, 10, 20 customers you onboarded between 2022 and 2023, when you went, you got your first revenue, they were doing, you would sell between 10 and $50,000 year packages, but you're really relying on your network, Tina's network, the XZOR network, to sort of go sell these deals, or partners that you would, I guess, pay referral fees, or what were you? How did you actually get? Like, do you remember the first 5 customers, the actual channel?
Most of our first customers were actually either relationships of people on the team or relationships of VCs, but not necessarily the VCs who already invested in us. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
unusual that people would go, "Hey, could you take a look at this portfolio company for us?" And we went in and solved a bunch of those problems. So that was great because it meant that once we won, we got another win right afterwards. Like, so we
That's
we
interesting.
get something and then we get the next customer.
Could you tell us, if you're able to share the attribution channel of how you guys closed OpenAI?
The connection to OpenAI was that we had actually pitched Keith Jones, who runs part of the business systems at the go-to-market systems. He runs the go-to-market systems at OpenAI when he was actually at Gartner. And we'd actually been
Hmm.
talking to him. He's a really interesting cat. They reached out to us. They were doing an RFP, and Keith was like, I was really interested in you guys. I'd like to catch up. And then they ran an RFP process. And I can talk about this because Keith's talked about it. That was the most fascinating, weird RFP process in the history. And it was what everybody should do. It was crazy interesting.
I mean, can you tell me more? That's a big cliffhanger there. What do you mean by that? I mean, so everyone listening right now, they're thinking RFP process. Okay, there's a big customer that I want to get. They finally announced they're going to look at 6 vendors to do this one task. Submit your RFPs. They then negotiate with all of them. They pick one, and then someone wins, and then you move on. What was the OpenAI process like?
What they did was they basically um, asked everybody in the company to come up with their top 10 things. The first interesting part was how they came up with what the requirements were. And they asked all these different departments to articulate what they needed from a go-to-market system. And then and it can be, 10 need, 5 absolute non-negotiable things and 10 things you'd like to have, right? But
Yep.
then they got those people to actually talk to Zoom and to describe why the 5 things were the most important things and the 10 things were less important. And then they
Okay.
ran that, not just the transcript, but the video through an AI, and it came up with the requirements, first draft, the requirements with reasons why these were the most important things for OpenAI, which is super fascinating to begin with. Then what they did is they asked us to give all the vendors to give access to their documentation, and they got the AI to rate how well the products actually fit their requirements. And because part of what they were looking for is how well documented is this thing. So if
Mm.
you could do it, but you didn't have it documented, who cares? Because it's going to be hard to use, hard to implement. It's not
Meaning API
mature.
documentation, webhooks, things like that.
Not just that, the user documentation, the help guides, everything we could give them, because just give us as much stuff as you can possibly give us. And okay, then they got us to do basic demos, and then they got the AI and the people then focused further questions. It was a recursive using the AI to continually refine the focus. And in the end, it was basically us up against Salesforce, and we won.
That's awesome. What a cool
Yeah.
story. Okay, that makes a
Thanks.
ton of sense. What I assume a lot of your go-to-market motion is an AE playbook, right? An SDR, AE, BDR, et cetera, because your price point justifies it, right? It's big enough where you can put touch on the sale. Can you tell me more, because of that, can you tell me more about your team size today and how many folks are sort of quota carrying AEs? How are they, getting leads, taking demos, closing sales?
So actually, the interesting thing is it's not outbound.
Okay.
Very little outbound, actually. It's almost entirely still, even at our stage, inbound. And so essentially, the neat thing that happened as well, and part of the thesis of the company was that Salesforce CPQ was going to die, right? And that's because at the pace of change in business today, it just couldn't adapt. And of course, in February of this year, they more or less formally announced that it was no longer available to be bought. But even before then, people knew it was no longer, it wasn't going to be around. So there was a whole stream of people who were looking for a further solution. So actually, we initially focused mostly on awareness, 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 awareness. That if you're on Salesforce, there's two different things you can choose. You could choose to stay, or three, I guess. You stay with CPQ. You could move to their new product, RCA, which is difficult childbirth, and
Yeah.
or you could pick new, right? And
But Mark,
and
how did you
so
actually how did you actually, that tactic is a good one, right? A competitor is dying. You want to drive awareness as the alternative. But how did you actually get that exposure? Because like when I do like a quick search Salesforce CPQ alternative, I see some of maybe your competitors here paying for ads, which is one way to do it. I see some Reddit threads. I see Gartner recommending some things, but I don't see you guys anywhere. So how did you drive that awareness?
yeah, we drove the awareness for the people who actually advise them, not worrying about the people. Like if you're actually buying software this way,
Hmm.
the target customers we want. Like nobody who are the target customers we want buy software that way. What they do
Yeah.
is they go to their advisors, their VCs, their existing consultants, and they ask them. So all of our marketing is actually focused on those people,
The
not
consultant and the VC.
on the consultants and their VCs and the P firms, and not on this. So people would say, "Hey, look, by the way, I know you need to do this. I know that OpenAI got live in 8 weeks, which is freaking crazy, and this says a lot more about OpenAI
Yeah.
than it does about new. Um, but we want you to look at them because we want that kind of speed of execution and that kind of flexibility. And so very few of our inbound deals have not already talked to somebody who's used the product, or VCs who have a portfolio company has the product, or a consultant who's implemented or has introduced the product to one of their customers. It's actually pretty rare that people come in and are considering like us and Deal Hub, like because
Yeah.
like
It's
Deal
like
Hub's
through,
like
you're not getting
down
deals through
market.
SEO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we
Can you
do.
just put a
I mean,
face to the
we
name?
do
Like
do
when you
that,
say
but
consult, yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but when you
yeah.
say consultants, can you give a real example, like a website of a consultant that just to put a face to the name?
Yeah, like so OpenAI was implemented by GoNimbly, and GoNimbly
Okay.
had already worked on multiple projects with us before. They've worked on projects since then. Um, they're also working with us at AtBay. Um,
Yep.
we can think of there's a lot of like now it's a lot of different people. So, SAS Consulting, Secco, Coastal Cloud. And
Yep.
so, there's we work in an ecosystem where we may be only part of the answer, or we may be the entire answer. So often we're running into other consulting firms all over the place. And so,
Yep.
um, and frankly, we actually also get referrals from Salesforce, not deliberately, but the AEs will just come over and go, "Can you help my customer? They're having a very bad time," and
Yep.
and they'll informally introduce us.
Okay, I love that. So just to sum up, before we move into the later part and wrap up the episode, so you joined in 2022, zero revenue. You've just taught us sort of how you went to go to market early. Primarily, it's still the same today. VCs, consultants like GoNimbly, CoastalCloud.us, etc. With these tactics, are you comfortable sharing which year you guys broke $1 million of revenue? Was that 2023 or later?
It's only 2023 now.
It was 2023. Okay, so you went from zero to pretty quickly there. So you took those folks that were taking a chance on you at 10 to 50K a year. You delivered, right? They were doing you a favor. You delivered in that first year, and they stuck around in 2024 and onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great it was a great crazy sprint. But what happened was the product went up market like pretty steadily. It's continually gone up. So it went from average saying 20,000 to 50,000 to 70,000, and that makes it easier to hit a million, right?
Like 20K 2023, 50K 2024, now going forward 70K kind of average. That sort of expansion.
Yeah, now way above that now. Like
Yeah.
now it's hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Can I multiply the numbers you told me earlier in the show where you've got a lot of those sort of legacy folks that might be the smaller companies? I understand you have the big ones that are like 4, 5, 600K per year, but averaging it all out, if I take 50K per year on average times 100 customers, we can obviously back into, a range of your MRR. Would that math be appropriate or is it not accurate?
It's
That
low.
puts you at about
It's
5
but
million. That puts you at about
yeah,
5 million ARR
yeah,
today.
it's by the end of the year we'll be in eight figures. Yeah. So
Okay, great.
yeah.
And
Yeah. So
does that represent sort of a stretch goal for you guys, or no? You've done the math, or we're already almost done with the year. We're 9 months in. You're definitely going to hit that.
yeah, no, it's pretty straightforward. Basically when now as we do the more bigger end-to-end deals and people are swapping out Salesforce CPQ and their billing system all onto one single thing, it's not hard to justify hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what I'm super excited also about is we have a new quick start program where smaller companies are coming in and they're just basically needing no consulting at all to spin new up. We don't make a lot of money off them right away, but later on, I don't
Tell
want
me
to
more about
give.
that. Where can I go on your website to see more about that?
So if somebody just comes through the front door and there's about to be a big launch on it because we just finished testing it. But if somebody comes through the front door and they reach out to us and say you're in the 20 to $50 million or even lower end,
Hmm.
we've demonstrated that those people can stand up new by themselves. They don't really need a consulting organization at all, and they just get
Okay.
they run through a class. In fact, the funny story was one of our larger customers wanted to send their staff through that class, and at the end of the class, they announced that they were done. And we said, sort of like, what? And they go, "This is like a $200 million company," and they went, yeah, we're done. I should think we finished our implementation.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to roll that out to larger companies. So
That's great. Okay.
super,
Where
super
can I see
interesting.
that? Like, can I share screen here anywhere? Is that class or is it basically in the product videos they go through once they get
No, it's
inside?
actually in our enablement, in our resources, but I'm not exactly sure where to find it because I don't go in there, but it's in the knowledge
Uh,
center somewhere. But yeah,
okay.
but
Okay. Great.
but the but um, we're taking the idea of go-to-market engineering that Clay has made so clear, and we are then using that to implement revenue enterprise software, and it's working really,
Hmm.
really well. And the interesting thing is it's creeping up in our customer base. So more and more larger companies are going, hey, we want to send our teams to this enablement program, and they're kind of those projects are going really, really quickly, and that's a
Hmm.
big competitive advantage.
So, I mean, can I ask you a question? What's the largest deal you've closed that did not require, an hour-long demo with an AE because you put these people through your pre-recorded enablement program?
Um, I think everybody look. I think everybody who's doing this, it's a serious conversation. So I don't think anybody has actually not talked to anyone. I
Okay.
think it's more that they didn't need a consulting firm or our consulting organization to implement them. I think and what that's giving us the power to say to people is like, why don't you just start using the software? And that's the switch we're about to make. To say, look,
Yeah.
honestly, if you answer this question, this question, this question, we'll just give you an account and let's just start doing it. And then
Yeah.
and that's so foreign for this space because this space is very consultant heavy, and it still needs consultants, by the way, up market, because like if you're ripping out your old system, that's a completely different thing, right? but
Yeah.
but for Greenfield, um, that new go-to-market is something we're really excited about, and it's going to be an important part of our late 2025, 2026 market motion. But I suspect what we'll see, Nathan, is we'll see some companies that are way bigger than you might think doing it that way, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. As we wrap up here, what's team size today? How many folks full time?
102.
Okay. How
102
many would you
people.
say
So
are dedicated to sort of BDR, AE, marketing, sales?
actually a relatively small part, about 26 people
Oh, okay.
on the revenue side of the company. Um, changing because we're hiring people right now. So if you're, from the ecosystem and you're looking for a role, we have basically, recs in every possible place. Um,
How many engineers of the
and
102?
yeah, a big footprint. I mean, it's a huge product. So approximately 40% of the team is
Okay.
engineering QA, and then of course there's a big delivery team. Delivery team is small relative to the size of projects we're doing, but it's still we want to make sure that if anybody's getting implemented, no matter who they get implemented by, that we have a core group of people who are able to answer your 10th question, like the detail,
Mhm.
these really important questions, right?
Mark, you've had a lot of growth since your last venture round. I don't know how much cash you have left in the bank, but the growth seems to be able to support potentially an up round. Are you considering raising capital in 2025 or 2026?
Yeah, we get offers all the time. I think there's some things changing in the marketplace that might cause us to do that, but we're just sort of going through right now. We don't need to raise capital right now, but but there's some opportunities that are in front of us, and I think we might take them, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Is that inorganic growth opportunities, M&A opportunities for you? You buying other companies?
Yeah, absolutely. So we bought two companies so far this year. We'll buy, we'll, we're taking a look at two others right now. And and then um and those are all basically market positioning plays. The last two were technology plays, but the next two are just basically taking out um some market paths to market that we can use.
And are you typically, I mean, when you say sort of hires, like, are these acquihires? One of them was, I think, Approvals Pro in March of 2025. I mean, are you paying crazy revenue multipliers or multiples for these, or you just look at the team? It's a small team, small customer base. You say, I want the team.
Oh, look, the Approvals Pro is an amazing product built by an amazing team. And if we could have gotten the team, we would have definitely taken them. They were actually heading off to do another exciting project. Guy and the team over there are great friends of the company. We actually had the ability to completely grok their technology and basically bought it and brought it into our engineering infrastructure with some help from them. And it was a great hire. So it was pure technology, not people.
Yep.
Um, and that's kind of unusual. I've never done that before. It required a really, really great team on the other side. Guy was a great leader over there and helped us get that done. Other technologies like Jiracheck, which is going to be a core part of our AI-based um, contract management system. We acquired both people and the product, and the product's
Love
amazing. It's
that.
like basically like a pragmatic business lawyer on steroids. It's like
That's
somebody
good.
who looks at it and looks at it from a CRO's point of view, goes, yeah, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I do not want my contract in Missouri. Like that kind of redlining, a redline review that's completely automatic and makes things just fly. So we're using it internally now. It'll be out in the product, um, late fall, maybe early next year.
Great. Mark, we're out of time here. Let's wrap up with a famous five. Number one, CEO you're following or studying.
I think the CEO that I'm paying most attention to, actually, the person I think most about is Benioff.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's the person I spend most time thinking about. I think it's a really interesting time for a venerable company, and I'm paying a lot of attention to what he's saying, what he's doing. I have great respect for what he has done, and great interest in what he's going to do.
Number two, is there a tool, your favorite online tool you use to build a business?
Actually, frankly, we're just completely obsessed with the differences and the different ways that we're leveraging both OpenAI and Anthropic and all the other tools that sit on top of it. For me personally, um, I'm actually back and forth between Claude and ChatGPT, using them for completely different things, every single day. It's just allows me to maximize my day at a level I've always hoped to do. So.
Number three, is there a business book that you've read recently you want to recommend?
Yeah, not recently, but it's a book that I recommend to everybody. Multipliers by I think it's Liz Wakeman, um, about how to lead people to be more effective at what they do rather than telling people what to do. Try to enable them to tell you what they're going to do. And it was given to me by my co-founder, my last company, when I was kind of losing my crap. And then he's basically I was becoming a bit of a demagogue. inside my company, and he said, "You need to read this book, or at least the first two chapters." It was so important that I kept it on my bedside to remind myself um, about how much I valued my teams and how much my job was really to nurture them. And I would recommend that everybody read it, at least the first two chapters. Yeah.
All right. And Mark, what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
I am actually married. And it's super exciting. My eldest daughter is about to have a baby, so
Oh,
that's super
great.
fun.
How many
So
kids do you have?
I have two. I have
Two.
two,
Okay.
one wife, two kids. Uh, way too many pets. Way too many
There you
pets.
go.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
old are you, Mark?
It's my birthday. I'm 60 years old.
Oh, today's your birthday, your 60th birthday.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh, amazing. Happy birthday.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
exciting. Well,
yeah.
take us
So
home here then. Take us home here strong. Take us back 40 years. What's something you wish you knew back when you were 20?
oh, actually, the thing I wish I knew when I was 20 was that flexibility in what I was going to do was the most important thing. That everything that the decisions I was going to make in the next 5 years were probably completely irrelevant, and therefore I could do whatever the hell I wanted. Um, and because I think at that time I was in law school and I was really thinking about my path to being a great lawyer, and it turns out none of that happened, and I'm super successful. Yeah. Like, I mean, I
Guys,
did
there
become a lawyer, and I didn't get disbarred or anything, but it was like my actual real life was so much different than I thought it was going to be. That that's what I want to know.
Guys, there you have it. Mark Walker, NUE.io is the company, revenue recognition tool, and much more with customers like OpenAI and Anthropic. Launched back in 2019, first lines of code, scaled, 2022, a lot of investment, $15 million seed round to get the product where it needed to be. Still $0 of revenue in 2022, but then things started to take off. Broke $1 million of revenue in 2023. They'll break 8 figures. That's over 10 million bucks this year as they continue to scale, as they've drastically increased their ARPU, as they've added more value to the product over the past 3 years, from call it 20K to 50K to in the quote hundreds of thousands now today. Their go-to-market motion, not a lot of direct SEO or bottoms-up stuff. It's really going through actually consultants and VCs. So heavy inbound and word of mouth. They have an enablement program that enables their sales reps to be more effective and enables their new customers to get onboarded faster. 102 folks on the team today, 26 marketing and sales, 40 engineering, and then a big delivery team. His most important thing, he wants all of you guys to know, flexibility is the most important thing. Keep up the optionality. This is coming from a guy that bootstrapped his last company. Now he's all in on the VC side of things. We'll see what happens next. Mark, thanks for taking us to the top.